Hey, g'day legends, and thanks for tuning in. This week's video, we're back on the Barra C1100. I'm gonna get stuck in the wiring on this thing, get some of the interior started, and whatever else comes our way. She's gonna be a big one, so do yourself a favor, grab a cuppa or your coldie, kick back, relax, and enjoy the video. Yeah, so this is the harness, the engine harness that came off the BA ute that I dissected for this thing. I had it modified, so it's supposed to be all labelled and all that, so I've got to go through, make sure everything's all good. That's the computer, those are the harness connectors there, it's all connected up. So this engine still has the engine harness on it. So what I've got to do is I've got to go and take this engine harness off, install that engine harness, fit the computer, and then yeah, that'll get me on the track to start all this wiring. So first things first, like I say, strip this engine harness off, and then yeah, look at fitting the modified one. Right, yeah, so I've got this harness sort of halfway off. I remember pulling it off the other engine, and it's pretty hard with the top half of the intake manifold still on. So one thing I'm gonna do is pull this top half of the intake off. The throttle body wasn't tight on this thing as well, so it's probably a good idea to just check inside the engine, make sure there's no nasties in there waiting for me. So like I said, I think I'll rip the top off, and it's just gonna make removing this harness and installing the next harness so much easier, and we can ensure, yeah, the engine doesn't need anything, eh? So let's get this thing off. So I spent a bit of time off camera, and as you can see, I've got the modified harness refitted to the engine, all the coil packs, all the injectors, throttle body, sensors. I haven't got the intake manifold bolted down properly yet because I'm going to get a new gasket for it, same as the throttle body, but it's sitting there so all the connections can be made. What I'm going to do is lift this thing up on the hoist and reinstall the ECU, And then I'm going to go ahead and start laying in the other half of the harness. So yeah, let's get this thing elevated and start fitting some more wiring. Rightio, so as you're just seeing, just lifted the tray up on this thing. What I'm going to do is replace, the fuel pump hanger assembly. As you can see, it's got a couple of broken stems on it, so got a brand new unit here, comes with a new pump and all the rest of it. So I'll whip that one out, whip this one in, and then I'll start looking at the fuel pump wiring, run that to the new harness, and we'll move on to the next project though. Alrighty legends, so I got halfway through the wiring of that fuel pump. I've got the trigger wire run from the ECU down to the fuel pump. I worked out what's positive, negative on the fuel pump hanger. So it's triggered by the earth through the ECU, the fuel pump, like it primes, then shuts off, and then once the engine's running, it keeps going. So I've got all that worked out. I've sat the tray back on it because I want to move the truck back inside. What I'm going to actually move on to now is I've got to finish the dash bar up here. It sort of got half done and we moved on from it, so I've got to finish some of the welding, clean it up, get it painted, because I want to set the column, the pedal box, booster, all that jazz in there, because I've actually got the aircon unit. The aircon unit's been delivered, so I've got to sort of start working out what sort of area I've got inside the dash, what's going to work, what I've got to mount where, and actually the dash is over here too. That's actually out of an AB, so the model before, but it's a complete dash I got. That's actually out of intermission, the 4x4 build that I'm doing on the patrol chassis. So, but it's a complete dash. So like I say, I want to get all that jazz in there to work out, what's taking up what real estate. Also, I've got to work out whether I'm going to run the combination switch, the wiper switch and the indicator switch from the Falcon, or whether I just go to a universal, like hot rod style one or whatever. Not too sure, but that's a lot of words. So what I'm going to do is get in this dash bar, get it cleaned up, painted, fitted, start throwing bits at this thing, Also, I forgot to mention there before that I picked up the wiring kit for this thing, just a universal harness. So got that to fit, and also got the computer away, the engine ECU, which needed to be unlocked, needed security turned off. So we established that. Gone to Elite Performance in Townsville. They're going to unlock it. I went and saw them yesterday. It's not done yet, but hopefully by tomorrow-ish it may be done. But so that's happening, and got the harness, got to get installed. Alrighty, so I've just set that dash bar back in there just to make sure it still fits and all that. And what it looks like is I don't think much of that original dash is going to make it across into the cab here, just purely where that dash bar exists. But what it does sort of open up, I'm thinking I could be able to squeeze the aircon unit in up here, sort of, get it out of there. Depending, I've got to fit the wiper assembly, because I don't want the back of the aircon unit failing on that. So what I'll do is get rid of that bracket there, probably fit the wiper assembly arms, and see if I can fit that aircon unit in that space. And if it does, then I'll work out what I'm going to do with these other dash panel parts. Like I said, I may be able to dissect it, trim it up to suit, but first things first, I need to work out that aircon unit fits. If it fits, then I can trim the dash to suit around it, but that's the critical part first. You've got to fit that and then work around it, Right, so I've just installed those wiper arms, haven't cleaned or polished it, anything. As you can see, motor's in, wiper arms are in. And I've gone ahead and sat that AC unit up in place, had a bit of a play, and I'm thinking that's where it's going to live. It's going to tuck up right near the dash there. Basically what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try and run these dash panels. I've obviously got to put this dash bar back in, but the way these panels are sort of working out, I'm going to be able to get them back in place and just, yeah, trim those ends to sit around the aircon unit. So I'm going to probably pull the dash out so I don't mark it. I'm going to get this aircon unit mounted central in the dash there, get it fixed in, get the bar back in, and then, yeah, I should be able to run both those panels, the left and the right side, and I may even be able to tie it together with that bottom bar yet and make a little filler panel to go underneath the aircon as well. Not too sure yet, so like I say, I'll get that aircon unit mounted first, get that dash out, the bar in, and yeah, then we're going to have a look at these panels, eh? Alrighty, so after a good amount of cutting there, I've got this dash trimmed up pretty nice. I've got the air conditioner evaporator unit mounted. So we end up going with, yeah, up the top of the dash there. As you can see, I've trimmed around it. That's the bottom of the original glove box and all that. Yeah, so that's going to look actually pretty cool. Pretty happy with that. Put the dash back in to see how it likes. See how I like the looks of it. The aircon unit, you probably can't tell, but the wiper arm is like, yeah, probably 10th hour off the aircon fitting, but if it misses by an inch, it misses by a mile, I suppose. That's how I was saying. So that's going to work as well. Aircon lines are going to run really nice. Set that steering column back in there as well. I'm debating what I do with the dash yet. I'm not exactly sure. The plan was to go with just normal gauges in the dash, but I really like the look of this cluster, and I'm debating. I know you can get little monitors, little screens that you can program. I think you can hook them up to the OBD2, and yeah, it displays all your gauges and your speedo and all that jazz. You can program them. So I'm half tempted to, yeah, take the guts out of this cluster and put a little yeah, like an iPad dealie in there. You can buy them all shapes and sizes. I'm pretty sure you can get one for that. So that's what I'm thinking at this point in time. Make it nice and clean and sort of semi-original with that cluster housing there. So yeah, really happy, really productive day. So I'm gonna go ahead, get the shed cleaned back up, and yeah, we'll move on to the next job, which will likely be, yeah, get that brake, get the pedal box and the booster back in there. Then yeah, keep going with the wiring, I suppose. Rightio, next day, back into it. First job I think I'm gonna take care of is, haven't put the torque converter bolts in this thing yet, so I think I've got to pull the starter off, and yeah, I'll shove these in there, get them tightened up. Also, I've got to put the fuel clamps on the fuel hoses because I shortened them up. So yeah, they're on there, but I've got to put clamps on them. Get that buttoned up, then yeah, we'll move back into some of this wiring, eh? Right, yeah, we've had a bit of a win and a bit of a fail, but we got a fix. So I don't know if you can really see in there. I'll try and. So yeah, that's good. So you can see that's one of the flex plate bolts. So this thing's got an FG sump on it and an early BA transmission. So the BA sumps have an inspection slot in the back of the sump there into the belly housing that allows you access to the flex plate bolts. Well, it turns out when you put a BA transmission on an FG engine, you don't have an inspection hole anymore. I thought it was through the starter motor hole, but it's not. But like I say, I can get away with it, not with those factory bolts though, because I can't get a socket on it. Like that bolt started, but I can't get a socket on it. So I'm going to go to town later on and get some Allen key headed bolts, some real narrow, short depth Allen key headed bolts, and that will fix it. So like I said, we had a bit of a fail, but we've come up with a solution, so that's good. As you can see, I've got my hose clamps on my high pressure fuel line in the return. That's sorted out. I pulled out the column I had in this thing because it doesn't have, someone butchered it, and it doesn't have the ignition switch, ignition barrel and key and switch anymore, but I do have a spare column. As you can see, I've just installed it and I've worked out the wiring. There's start in and out and the power in and out for the ignition, so I just installed that. And what I'm thinking of doing is grabbing the wiring harness for this thing, finding a spot for that, getting it installed and starting the basic wiring on this thing, getting all the wires run, see if I can get it cranking off the key, see if I can get Well, I've got to wait for the computer for the fuel pump, but get the fuel pump wired up and yeah, do the sort of wiring I can do now. And like I say, I'll take a trip to town later and get some bolts. So yeah, see if I can get this harness installed, eh? Rightio, so I had a good look around. I tried to make the fuse panel mount sort of where they mount in the factory position on the driver's side up there, but between the pedal box and all the rest of it, just run out of real estate. So what I ended up doing was mounted on the passenger side here, up against the bulkhead. So yeah, really accessible, out of the road, can't see it, plenty of length in this wiring harness. So yeah, it's worked out really good. I started running some of the wires as I was going, then took a trip to town. Yeah, I picked up the new converter bolts. So I don't know if you can see, they're a little bit longer. No, not gonna work. They're a little bit longer, so I've already got one installed. So I just got to trim a bit of the thread off, and also the head of the bolts a little bit thicker. So got to grind that down a little bit too. Again, you probably can't see a whole lot, but yeah, I've got one bolt already installed in there, so it's not completely tight. I've got to spin this thing around, get the rest of these trimmed, get them in, and then yeah, torque them all up once they're all in, eh? So that's what I'm going to do. Rightio, so I managed to get all four of those torque converter bolts in. They're all tight, so that's good to go. So like I say, we'll move on back to the wiring, try and get some of that roughed out. Yeah, so let's get in the wiring, eh? Alrighty legends, so we've had a bit of a victory here. Got the computer back from Elite Performance here in Townsville. They've turned the security off on it, so by all accounts it should work. If the wiring's correct and the computer's correct, it should fire. So what I'm going to do now, I've got to make a gasket for the throttle body. Going to go ahead and make that, stick the top of the intake manifold back on, and then keep going with the wiring. I just want to do it rough enough for now to get this thing to fire. So yeah, I'll run the fuel pump wiring's got to be temporary run, and yeah, make this thing start and run. Well, make this thing start and hopefully it'll run. So yeah, let's make a gasket, get this intake back on, and hopefully, yeah, let's see this thing kicking alive for the first time. Rightio legends, so I got that temporary fuel pump wiring done, as you can see there. I chucked some fuel in it. I've cycled the key, like the computer's back in and now, I cycled the key. Fuel pump is turning on and priming, turning back off. Throttle body is working, it's doing its thing. So I'm thinking, by rights, it should fire up. So it hasn't got any cooler, the cooler lines aren't hooked up yet, but I'll just shut it down if it does fire up. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do this without bloody putting this down. So hang on a second. Alright, so there it is. So ignition is on. Now, actually, I might get ready to unplug the ignition instead of trying to bodgy turn it off. Alright, well, fingers crossed legends. Let's see what we're working with. And contact. Oh! Go! Oh yeah! Oh. And she's shooting all out. Alrighty. Well, there you have it, legends. She runs. How good is that? And even starting to clean the transmission out a bit. Whew! Alright. Doesn't sound the greatest at the minute, but keep in mind, nothing's finalised here, and it may need a tune yet. So, but anywho, that's awesome. So I might yeah, clean this mess up, and I might even slot the radiator in it for the cool lines, potentially put some transmission oil in it. So I'll have a clean up and see what we work out, eh? Alrighty legends, well, have a look who we got here. Special guest. He's a bit beetroot red. He's been having a go in the sun today, but...
Been doing my actual job.
Actual job? Are you an actual job?
Yeah, other than being homeless.
Well, you want to tell... Alright, I'm just going to keep it off camera here for a sec. Yeah. So, you want to tell the people exactly what we're dealing with here, because it's pretty exciting.
No, it's very basic. But,
it's exciting to the lay folk like myself.
Well, Bam come to me, he's like, how cool would it be to put a digital dash? How cool would it be to put a digital dash in the Barra truck? I was like, oh, well, it can be done. And all we need is like a Raspberry Pi and then an LCD screen and then just 3D print all the bits to fill in the original dash.
And then looked dumbly at him.
He comes over and he just dumps all the products on my desk in the workshop and he's like, do it. Oh. Alright, so this is where we're at the moment.
Oh yeah, how good is that? And okay, they're not in there at the moment, but these corners, he's 3D printed inserts in there and everything. So
we've changed the design. We have a fuel gauge going on the side.
Yeah, there's a fuel gauge because I guess the computer or the cam bar doesn't. Well, either way, we haven't got a fuel level.
Well, there's two ways to do it. We can read all the sensors that are on the motor and then put that into the Raspberry Pi, or we can just connect a wireless OBD2 reader and then display what the readings are on there.
Yeah.
But doing that, we lose a few features like oil pressure. So we're going to have an external oil pressure gauge and fuel
level. Yeah.
Fuel level. So we're just going to run external ones there to keep it simple, and then it'll just always work.
Absolutely.
But if we're going to run other sensors and wire it all in, then there's always a chance of it not working. And this being a customer's car, we don't want it to come back and be a pain in the ass. Whereas just changing a plug, reprogram it to the Raspberry Pi is way easier if there's ever a drama.
Absolutely. And I guess another feature is that display, we can change it sort of whenever we feel like it. Yeah.
So he's got a heap of different, I might climb in. Yeah, there's other dashes, so you just go back and then change what dashes we want to display. We have like detailed dashes that tell you absolutely everything in pretty gauges, and then you can just have it simplified, basic, just numbers on a screen.
So yeah, this is all brand new to me, but Cody said like, oh yeah, we can do this and this and this, and now he's like, now he's sort of regretting his decision because I just dumped all the parts on his desk and said, hey, make it happen.
Shorty's going this way, so I've always planned to do this with Shorty. That's why Shorty is the way it is, and the dash does not work.
Yeah.
Because I never cared, because it was going like this.
Yeah.
Just Bam's got more
enthusiasm
than I do.
I sort of prodded you, I guess, to make it happen now. Yeah. Now that you know, now that we've done, now that when this is done, it'll be one done.
It'll be easier to go for it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll work and not.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I fired this thing up briefly before and showed the legends at home, that it actually runs. I didn't even know it ran. I got the customer supplied the engine, so I had no idea it even ran. But I've since hooked the radiator up, which has the cooler lines attached to it, so we might be able to kick it in the guts and run a little bit longer.
Is it noisy?
No, it's actually not too bad.
Really?
Yeah. So, I changed from the sketchy ignition switch to like an actual usable one. I haven't started since this has been fitted, but theoretically the transmission has oil in it. It's back in park. This is hooked up, so I should be able to run it for a bit longer and hopefully it settles down a little bit. Oh, it does that. The exhaust manifold's not tight, like you can see there's still mud and stuff on it, so it's got to come back off it, but I didn't want to make anything permanent until we knew it ran, but how good is it? It runs! Hey, actually I'll see. Hey, the throttle works.
Hey.
Oh, and it stopped. That's a car.
This is smoky, the old guy.
Look at the smoke going out of the exhaust.
Where did he find this motor?
I don't know. So, I guess that's a pretty big milestone in this whole operation. This is not only a milestone for this build, but I've never done an EFI conversion like this. Like I've done the Holy Sniper, but the whole Barra factory EFI stuff, it's all brand new to me, so I'm calling that a massive win. Like it runs like a bit of a hairy go, but I don't know what spark plugs are in it, I don't know what the cores are like, I don't know any of that jazz. Like I said, the exhaust is only basically sitting on there because it's all got to come back off, so I'm going to call that a massive victory, and I'm so stoked with that dash. When that all comes together, this thing is, yeah, it's a couple of firsts. Like I said, the EFI, the dash, that's going to be like something going forward I'd like to probably incorporate with my build. So yeah, really happy with it. I'm going to button it up here, everyone. I appreciate you watching. If you like what you see, do us a favour, like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.